A nation at risk. Goals 2000, No Child Left Behind, and Race to the Top. School reform is in the fiber of our nation's constant effort to improve education. But can a district improve by adding more money, or changing curriculum, or replacing staff? Can educational attainment and achievement improve with a leader? Superintendent of Gary Schools, Dr. Cheryl Pruitt, joins me. This is CounterPoint with Gerard McClendon. Thank you for joining us on CounterPoint. We want you to join the conversation by calling us at 844-777-9311, tweeting me at GerardMC, and sending Facebook comments to CounterPoint Gerard. Joining me at CounterPoint is a curriculum developer. She's a consultant, a scientist, and a school leader, superintendent of the Gary Community School Corporation. Welcome, Dr. Cheryl Pruitt. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. And thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It really is, having such an intellect here at the CounterPoint, and someone who is well invested and has sacrificed for children. Let's first start with a bio, though. Let our guests know, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Gary, Indiana,
GI.
on 25th and Monroe.
25th and Monroe?
Yes, product of Gary Community School Corporation.
What elementary school?
Douglas Elementary.
Middle?
Beckman Junior High.
And high school?
And Roosevelt High School.
So you went to Vel?
I did. Where else?
The black and gold. You went
Exactly.
to Vel. My goodness, I love this.
Yeah, you know, my mom and dad came to Gary, Indiana because my dad, he was a high school dropout and he went to the military. And so he came to work at the steel mill. Yeah. And my mom, she actually worked for Gary Community School Corporation as an educator.
This is exciting. So see, you're invested, you're ingrained. You are Gary, Indiana.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you this. After Roosevelt, where did you go to college?
After Roosevelt, I went to Russ College in Holly Springs, Mississippi. You know, it was interesting because my mother and father are from Amory, Mississippi. And so as we would travel to visit in Amory, Mississippi, we would go down the highway where many people may remember Mississippi Industrial College. Yes. And so I decided then that I would go across the street from where my mom went. It was just that simple. In addition to that, many people from the state of Indiana or that I was going to school with were going to Purdue and Indiana University. And I said, well, I think I'll branch off and try to meet some people some other places and see what that experience would be like. So that's how I ended up going to Russ College in Holly Springs, Mississippi.
Russ College. After Russ, where'd you go?
After Russ College, actually, I started working at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. I did cancer research for about 7 years. I did hematology, oncology, and I did some radiation work. And so at that time, we were looking at some antibiotics to fight against cancer. And so that was a very humbling experience. I don't know if you've ever been or visited St. Jude.
Yes.
But the children, they're around you all of the time, so they don't separate the employees or the researchers from the children. And so we were looking, one of my primary goals was to identify an antibiotic to fight against some of the drugs, some of the cancers. And so that, again, was very humbling. I did that for 7 years.
So I want to talk about St. Jude a little bit more here because my wife and I, we contribute a decent portion of our not-for-profit funds to St. Jude for the work that they do, which is just incredible.
It is.
And the fact that the parents don't have to pay is unbelievable for the services and the medical care. What was your, because I want to talk about you being a scientist, which I think is just so fascinating. What was your major at Russ?
My major was biology, a minor in chemistry.
And your master's degree, where did you go?
I went to the University of Memphis. It's an MAT.
Oh man, this is crazy because that's where my people are from. My mother's side of the family is from Memphis, Tennessee. So you got your MAT at University of Memphis, and then after that.
But that was interesting how I even ended up going to graduate school. And the reason for that was because I did 7 years at St. Jude, and then I did some years at Coors Brewing Company. But I also did some...
Wait. St. Jude and then Coors Brewing Company. I'm trying to get a connection here. Help me out, Dr.
And then I
Pruitt.
went to Roach La Hoffman to substance abuse to test for people urine and in their blood alcohol after I brewed the beer.
It makes sense now.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was quite interesting. And then at that time, I became a single parent. And so I had my children, a boy and a girl, and they were in elementary school at the time. And I wanted to spend more time with them because many of my other jobs, I would work 12-hour days at the brewery and then come home. But then I wanted to see what was going on in education and try to be that den mom, that Girl Scout leader mom, all of that kind of stuff. And so I went into education. And I was blessed at that time because Memphis City Schools was looking for educators that had real world experience. And so since I had done a lot of chemistry work as well as biology work, they recruited me and they actually paid for my master's.
Oh, wow.
So I actually did my student teaching in my own classroom. And that's how I ended up with my MAT.
So let me ask you this. Is teaching a calling?
Teaching is definitely a calling.
It seemed like it called you, I mean, big time out of the blue, because here you are, you know, big time scientist, cancer research, and then moving into the effects of alcohol related behaviors, scientific behavior, and you studied antibodies, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's like the heavens called Dr. Cheryl Pruitt to the educational field. How did it happen, though?
You know, I think it happened just like you stated. It just happened. And I actually started work after school started at Overton High School in Memphis, Tennessee. And they had an opening and they called me to ask me if I would consider coming to be a chemistry teacher. And so I said yes. So after school started, I ended up working and I had 4 preps. I had chemistry, biology, physical science, and principles of technology.
Oh, 4 preps is no joke.
I had 4 preps. My largest class had about 40 in my chemistry class. I did not have my own classroom, so I floated. And I started after school started. So it was interesting.
How did you do that? Seriously. How, you know, a chemistry teacher, you need your own lab. That's stationary. You can't be a floater. How dare they do that to Dr. Cheryl Pruitt? Seriously.
Well, you know what? When I started teaching, I didn't know any better, so I was doing a lot of, giving students a lot of paper. And then I said, this is not working. About 3 months into the job, I said, this is not working. And so I began to do a lot of project-based learning. And so I would give them projects, and I would have them create the rubric of how we were going to create the project. And they did it. They even wrote a grant. At that time, my class wrote a grant, and the governor awarded my classroom $20,000 to put technology into the classroom. So even though I floated, you know, you can use a table like this to do scientific or some kind of experiment. You don't necessarily have to have a lab, so to speak.
Just this table alone.
Exactly, and give the chemicals and let them experiment, etc. And in biology, one of my favorite ones was I would give them an analogy for a test because we were doing DNA and learning. I was teaching them the DNA strands and how they go together and whatnot. And so it was around prime time when I gave them this assignment or whether this test. And I said, okay, now Kathy and John went to the prom. And they had a really good time. But after the prom, they went to a restaurant, and it was in Chicago. And after that was over, they were driving down the street, and they got robbed. And somebody stopped them, and all we have left are the DNA strands. And we need to know who did it. So I would give them some more information, but in order for them to tell me who did it, they had to understand DNA and the strands.
Oh, wow.
So they really enjoyed it.
Science search.
Yeah.
I'm loving that. Because you showed the power of science when you blend it with the story problem. And they're invested because you went to their level. They're at the prom.
Exactly.
They go to Chicago. Something unfortunate happens.
So teaching them about the relationship of what they're learning and then putting some rigor in there so that they can understand how relevant it is to what they are actually doing. And so that actually made my job a lot easier when I could conceptually understand that in order for them to do it, they need to apply it. And so such things as the periodic table, I never had them memorize the periodic table. Because for ISO 9000 or any of those other type of avenues to go down, you don't necessarily have to memorize a table. It's a table. You're going to get the table.
Right.
But what do you do with the information that's on the table? So what is a compound as opposed to an element? And how do you put elements together to make compounds? And so that's the way in which I started teaching, and I enjoyed it.
It seems as if you focus on metacognition. You value cognition, all right, thought, but it seems as if you want the student to say, well, here's a thought, what do you think, and what's behind the thought, and can you justify it?
Yes.
That kind of points to your scientific method too. You're a scientist.
You know, it's interesting.
I gotta interrupt you here. There aren't a lot of people that know that Dr. Cheryl Pruitt is a scientist at the core. You're a scientist.
Yeah, I probably am analytical
they need to
too
tout that
much.
more in Gary Community School. Our superintendent is a scientist. You know how big that is?
Well,
That's
I guess because I do it, I don't.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I mean, it
Well,
really
thank you.
is.
Thank you.
And Gary Community School Corporation is so fortunate to have someone who has such an amazing intellectual level.
Well, I had to tell you, I think I'm the fortunate one. And I'll tell you how come, because I know you've been around our students, but we have some of the most amazing students. My work in the Virgin Islands, my work in New York, my work in Chicago, my work in Tennessee, working with children, I have never met amazing students. These young people are just off the chain amazing.
So what makes them amazing as opposed to just regular students? You say you have amazing students in the
Yes.
Gary Community School Corporation.
They're gifted. They are so intelligent. But on the other side of that, they're humble, they're smart, they're respectful. They have an intrinsic motivation to just go against all odds because they don't have some things that other people may have, but they're able to exceed in spite of. And they never complain. They rarely complain. And when I give them something to do in terms of my inner city student council or the superintendent student advisors, or when I give them a task, they always rise to the occasion. They are just some remarkable students, and I really mean that. I really, really do. They are just great.
This is, before we go to break, so are you saying that in Gary we have scientists, we have potential entrepreneurs, we have chemists, architects, these types of students are in your corporation?
Yes, we may have the next president of the United States.
Yeah.
They are amazing. I can't say that enough. I mean, I really cannot. Every time that I meet with them, I'm just humbled to be in their presence. And when I give them the task, if I step back and tell them, I trust you, and this is what I need you to do, and this is the goal, they go for it.
This is good. We're going to talk about this amazement of the student in Gary, Indiana after the break. Do your schools need improvement, or are you satisfied with your child's education? I give you the opportunity each week to voice your concerns, and we the people. Call my voicemail at 844-777-9311. Tweet me at GerardMC and send Facebook comments to CounterPoint Gerard. We'll be back shortly. Tweet me, post on Instagram, or send me a message on Facebook. Let's start the conversation. Your voice is important on CounterPoint. Welcome back to CounterPoint. I'm with a scientist, a school leader, curriculum developer. She is the superintendent of the Gary Community School Corporation, Dr. Cheryl Pruitt. Thank you for staying with us.
Thank you.
I so appreciate the time. I really do. So we left off talking about how amazing these Gary students are, and it seems as if the influential have been coming to Gary to see just how amazing these students are. You have had the wonderful opportunity, along with Gary Community School Corporation, Mayor's Office, of bringing Mr. Irvin Magic Johnson. He just seems to love Gary, Indiana. Why does he keep accepting the invitations to Gary, and what is he doing, Dr. Pruitt?
You know what, Irvin is a friend of mine, I would call him at this point. He's very invested in children and their growth, and especially in those communities that look like the communities that he was raised in, and he had the opportunity to, move ahead of that community and to give back. So he really wants to give back. And so, with our food service, he's our food service provider, Sodexo Magic. And so with that comes his investment as well, his personal time, his dollars, any kind of way he can lend a hand to help make certain that those children get to a higher level, then he does that, especially if he has a working relationship with you.
We were at this event a few months ago, and it's amazing what a person with deep pockets can do.
Yeah, yeah.
People can have good intentions,
Yes.
but when you have deep pockets and you get invited to come to a place where you can affect some institutional change, the man, Magic Johnson, gave $100,000 that night. And I'm like, wow,
Yes.
now that's how you do it.
Yes.
That's how you do it. How does Gary benefit from this relationship?
Well, with that relationship, it helps us to fund some of our other programs. We had the Grad Nation America's Promise about a month and a half ago, where the focus was on student voices. So we wanted the students to tell us what did we need to do or what do we need to do differently to focus on their education. How do they want to see their education? So if you remember Dream Now too, with the young men, where we had all of our young men in the city of Gary in high school, at least in my school district, to come together with other professional men just to talk about some of those things that affect men of color and to be able to find mentors really in them. I had a conversation with students about what does mentor mean to them. And it doesn't mean just saying I'm a mentor and one little, and I come and I see you once. They said they need people who will continuously feed into them, to put some kind of seed into them and come and see them, call them. If they're trying to be an attorney or they have aspirations of being a doctor, to introduce them to those other professions and to just take time with them. And so those type of dollars, as well as him, because you saw him mingling with the students and everyone. So those kind of dollars and just that kind of resource to say, I know Magic Johnson as far as the students, because he has conversations with them. It's just amazing.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I mean, the man's humility, that's what got me. It was kind of embarrassing taking a picture next to him because I looked like his little brother or something. I came up like to his navel or whatever, but just his humility as he worked the room at that event was phenomenal. You start talking about all of his accolades and Sodexo Magic and all of the Starbucks restaurants and movie theaters that he owns and all of his NBA championships and his most valuable player titles. And he plays all that stuff down. And I love that. Most people be sticking their chest out, but Magic, I think he's a breed apart. I really do. Let me ask you this. We're going to shift gears.
Okay.
Do we test too much, and does that hurt? If so, does that hurt the Gary Community School Corporation students?
That's a very good question.
ISTEP is about to be gone.
Because right with ESSA, but I guess you can look at it as in our lives. Everything we do, we have to test. We have to test to get our driver's license. We have to test for a number of things because that's just the way society is. But what are we testing for? And how are we testing? Maybe more of the question. It's just centered around how do we analyze a student's growth? As I gave you an example of how I would do my assessment in my class by allowing them to actually show me that they know. I never gave my students vocabulary tests.
No vocab tests?
No, because I told them in order for you to know what I'm talking about, you need to know the vocabulary because I'm going to use the words, but I'm not giving you any points for the vocabulary because that's your ownership.
Oh, wow.
And so you
want them to show and prove.
Exactly. So when you go down and you just ask a question, a ABCD question, a multiple choice question, is that really analyzing or giving you the best picture of a student?
It has more to do with logic than understanding too.
Yeah.
So, and we know from some empirical tests that children who are from wealthier communities have a greater understanding of the the intricacies of a standardized test, especially if it's multiple choice, because they're taught at a very young age to eliminate the wrong answers. Whereas many children in poorer communities, they're trying to choose the right answer.
You know, you said that, and in my former district, Proviso, I would have them take ACT prep. Because the way in which the ACT is created, especially the geometry part of it, you can take the tip of your pencil and answer every question just about on that test. And like you say, it's not about the knowledge level, it's about how you take the test. And then if you don't know the correct answer, which answer is it that you're supposed to choose? And more likely, if you choose that answer, you're still going to come up with a high.
Isn't it kind of sad that, yes, and like you said, yes, we have to test, but isn't it kind of sad that a person's educational career can flourish or die on the vine based on a standardized test? The difference between you getting into a highly competitive school and a school that's not so competitive, you know, that can be a game and life changer, you know, and to just focus on this being something that is a standardized test as opposed to my conversational intellect or my ability to reason or my ability to negotiate. You never really, you don't see that tested.
And that's how come moving from No Child Left Behind to ESSA, the Every Student Succeeds Act, is so exciting that President Obama moved in that direction. Now it's left up to the local states to determine what happens next, but I think that was a move in the right direction for us to turn that page from that type of standardized testing to actually begin to have those conversations about how should we be testing. I think one other thing that President Obama did was to mandate every child in terms of computer science for all. He designated computer science for all January the 30th. And so we have to look at how we are, or if we are, increasing the achievement gap or decreasing it. Because when we talk about standardized tests, should our children be able to take standardized tests now, or should they be able to code? You know, one day my son, he texted me, he sent me an article out of Huffington Post. And it was, the topic of the article was, why aren't there any black people in Silicon Valley?
Wow.
Why aren't we teaching our children how to code, how to do computer science? You know, in other affluent areas, they're doing this with their children in preschool.
Right.
We should have more classes focused on computer science, coding, etc. Graphics design, all of those things, because when you talk about entrepreneurship, see, Gary is poised in a place that it could be a mini Silicon Valley, what I can see.
No, see,
I
am
know,
loving what you're saying.
It's so exciting.
I am loving what you're saying right now, because you can learn to code in 3 to 6 months. That could be a 1-semester course.
Yes.
And children from the lowest economic communities are using the front end of coding the most.
Exactly.
I got to download that app. Well, let's teach you how to create the app.
See, and when we're talking about jobs, in New York, they have already, at McDonald's, moved out the cashiers, and they'll put kiosks. So our children, we should not be educating them or teaching them to be cashiers anymore. They have to be able to code and be able to create those machines that's going to take your order.
So, Dr. Cheryl Pruitt, the progress of Gary, Indiana, and its schools, do we have something to look forward to?
You know, I'm glad you asked that question. I'm just so excited about the last 2 years. Our graduation rates have increased. They have gone from 69% to 85%. And they have stayed there. They jumped from 69 to 85 the first year, and then we did do a little dip to 82. But you know, we're on our way to the 90% graduation rate overall for all students that enter their 9th grade, exiting their 12th grade. And so at Wirt Emerson, 2 years in a row, we have had 100%. All students that come in graduate.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not. And the interesting thing about Wirt Emerson, I don't know if you know this, but Wirt Emerson Visual Performing Arts High Ability Academy is the only school in this area, probably in this state, that offers free of charge arts whether it's dance, whether it's orchestra, whether it's music, all of the arts. But then they also have the high ability, and we have early college there as well. So students are able to go and come out with their associate's degree. Now, my thinking behind that, because we also put it at Westside, and we're going to put it at all of our schools, because my thinking behind that is in communities that are underserved, children should either go to the Career Center and come out with coding or some of those areas, those technical certificates, or they should be poised to go to college. And so when they go to college, we don't want them to be on this 5, 6, 7-year track.
No.
We want them to go and change the whole conversations.
And change the world.
And change the world.
Dr. Cheryl Pruitt, you know what? I want to thank my guest, Dr. Cheryl Pruitt, for joining me at the Counterpoint. If you are a parent who wants better education for your children, you must demand it. Teachers, school leaders, school boards, and school reformists can only offer change if they are made to change. Frederick Douglass said that power concedes nothing without a demand, so demand better schools, teachers, buildings, and demand quality. Thank you for watching Counterpoint. Call me, 844-77-9311. Tweet me at GerardMC. Send Facebook comments to Counterpoint. Stay positive, keep your head up, and always be encouraged to voice your counterpoint. Have a great week.